I got joy, 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 oh joy, 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 joy overflow in my life. Oh, I got joy, 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 oh joy, 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 joy overflow in my life. I got joy, joy, joy.
The Nigerian informal sector is a major contributor to the Nigerian economy, accounting for a significant portion of employment and national GDP. According to the International Monetary Fund, IMF, the Nigerian informal sector accounted for 65% of Nigeria's 2017 GDP. The sector has continued to maintain steady growth, with hopes that it will soon transit to formal economy to boost economic development in the country. Welcome to What Matters on NTA International. This week, we take a look at the informal economy in Nigeria under COVID-19 pandemic. First, we examine the informal economy in all its ramifications, followed by a feature on support for the sector as the COVID-19 pandemic persists in our midst. We also bring to you an interview discussion from experts on how to support the informal economy under COVID-19 and how to transit to formal economy, including a brief story on the resilience of the informal economy. My name is Naika Michael. I'll be right back. The informal economy, sometimes referred to as traditional economy, is one of Nigeria's key contributors to economic development. In this feature, we take an overview of the sector as a major component in development.
Nigeria is among the emerging economies in the world due to its large informal economy base. The informal economy in this aspect refers to economic activities such as carpentry, shoe repairs, tailoring, mechanics, amongst others. According to the International Labour Organization, ILO, the informal economy entails all economic units that in practice not covered or insufficiently covered by formal arrangement. In other words, these activities do not operate like the big firms that have every unit or department covered by law. The informal economy became relevant when it was discovered that African economy have experienced fast and steady economic growth from 1995 to 2005 as against the economic downturns of 1975 to 1994. Subsequently, African countries began to experience better times with an average rate of economic growth of 5.3% in 2007. In West Africa, between 2000 to 2005, an economic growth rate of 7.1% was recorded, while in 2010, 6.6% was achieved, all due largely to the activities in the informal economy. According to the International Monetary Fund, IMF, the informal economy accounts for approximately 65% of economic activities in Nigeria. It is a major driver of Nigeria's economy and helps to reduce poverty by creating jobs for the large uneducated workforce who are paid low income. Having known that the informal economy is an engine that can transform economic production into economic development, the ILO and its member nations have advocated a transition of informal economy to formal economy. As a result, a growing number of nations have been working effortlessly towards achieving the strategic policy in this aspect. However, achieving this goal has been hampered by the COVID-19 pandemic.
Almost every activity falls under the informal economy, and in one way or the other, they are contributing significantly to the nation's GDP. Apart from contributing 65% to the nation's GDP, the COVID-19 pandemic is already threatening the operation of this sector as well as its operators. We also examine how this is happening.
Informal economy has been in existence since the 1970s. It is an unregulated portion of the market, basically any economic activities, practice that is not covered by formal arrangements, such as production, distribution, and consumptions of goods and services that are not accounted for in formal measurements of the economy. Activities can include doing odd jobs or providing services which are paid in cash, such as car repairs, house painters, bricklayers, and shoe cobblers. This economic activity helps in circulating production and service among citizens, thereby increasing production capacity and development in a nation.
In the past, we normally work for school people, church, and some other administrative offices. But since this pandemic situation, you notice that school have not resumed. So on that part, most of our job mainly are for schools. But because of they have not resumed, we don't produce for them. And on the part of church, most times they even go on start adverts like flyers, banners that we do produce for them. You notice that this part has affected us, the printers.
With millions of coronavirus cases and thousands of deaths globally, the world continued to battle the COVID-19 pandemic even before the outbreak. The outlook for the world economy, and especially developing countries like Nigeria, was fragile. Nigeria has a growing economy as well as large informal sector, which contributes 65% of its economic output. With the recent pandemic, the International Labour Organizations in Nigeria has said that over 80% of working people are employed in the informal sector. The impact of the lockdown will be skewed towards those who perform urban informal sector economic activities, who either rely on income generated from going to work at a physical location or on a daily basis or weekly basis, be it as an employee for someone or a small business owner.
We have 6 staffs with us here, but since the situation of this COVID-19, it affected us financially and otherwise, and we see that it will not be wise we engage people we cannot afford their salary. Coupled with the nature of job this time, we have to reduce our staffs to 4 persons, from 6 to 4.
Rightly now, there is no more job on the ground, so we don't normally invite workers as of now, based on the job is not much on the ground. So that is, we are still managing based on this COVID-19. Even the material itself, what we have been buying in low price now it has been in high price. We cannot get it. What we used to buy 1,000 naira, we buy it 2,000, 1,500. And what we used to buy 8,000 naira, we buy it 14,000 now. So the job is not much more. People are not much bringing much work now. So sometimes even those one we have there is our own personal gate. We already done them. So in case if somebody want to buy, so you can easily buy without us waiting for a customer.
The economic shock surrounding COVID-19 pandemic give those involved with informal business a vulnerability because their income generating activities are more closely tied to the daily whims of the market. So their ability to meet your immediate basic needs such as access to food, shelter and health services are halted because of lack of face-to-face interactions and customer flow.
Actually, there is no much contribution. We can't say we are listed in any contributory pension. Even myself as the owner of the proprietor of the place, I don't say I've not put myself on a contributory pension scheme because government is only interested in their own workers. They don't make enough enabling condition for us to be able to do it because, you know, the mega salary and the mega business we do, just as the COVID-19 have come, you can see how it caught everybody unaware. There was no money anywhere. That's why we are trying to encourage ourselves and our workers that no matter how small your money is, you need to put something because such things like this COVID-19 that came up, we don't know what could happen again in the world.
A majority of the world's workforce is informal, and it is expanding in many contexts, appearing in new places and new guises. It plays a significant role in the global economy, and if supported in reducing poverty and inequality, it will go a long way in helping the citizens. The informal economy does not, however, offer a cushion during economic crisis. However, the operators have been left alone to weather the storm by themselves.
"24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You can watch NTA International live on your TV, computer, iPad, tablet and phone. Log on to visiontv.co.uk and click on Entertainment, then NTAI. You can also download the iOS or Android app on your mobile devices to watch NTA International on the go, anywhere in the world. NTA International, your window to the world.
This is serious. We hope something will be done to rescue the informal economy. In all of this, we have an economist who will be discussing these germane issues with us.
In the Nigerian population, about 60% are youth, and the government cannot provide job. In fact, there is a saying that less than 1% are in government job. And with the current pandemic, most of the private organizations even have problems. So all these people get themselves engaged in all kinds of jobs. And if they are not involved, crime rates will have been more. Social insecurity will have been more. And these people, they are into these engagements so as to, you know, alleviate poverty. And of course, these are the people that, you know, they go into it in order to get themselves engaged. And their contributions, they have contributed to the employment in the country. And apart from that, they always have impact on the GDP of the nation. So that is the advantage that we can get from this particular informal economy. If you talk of informal economy, there is no social security for them. So also the health risk are not being taken care of. And the way it can be done is, number one, if you look at the pension scheme, the current pension scheme, which is contributory pension scheme, government has made it mandatory that every employment that has from 5 employees and above must establish pension scheme. You discover that these are not there. And the rise of the employees are not even taken care of. So what government needs to do is to provide some form of regulation. Take, for instance, this pension scheme they have mentioned, they should have back it up with enforcement. There is no enforcement. Then in the social security scheme, government should have find a way of integrating the informal economy into it. Then if you look at the issue of pension scheme, it has made it mandatory again that every employee must go into life assurance. There's life assurance cover. So for everyone, these two should have been made in a way. So what government needs to do is to get all this informal sector, have statistics, then have some form of regulations in order to sanitize the system, in order to protect the workers that are working. So if this can be done, definitely there will be more improvement and sanity will be within the system. COVID-19, when we have all been hearing through media that palliatives have been given, they have distributed this, they have distributed that, but the question is, how have they planned it? So who and who are getting? Yes, we are seeing it on TV, but we do not see it in such a way that it's being well planned, section by section, for us to be able to say that, yes, they have touched this particular sector, they have touched this particular area, they have touched this particular area. But one interesting thing government did, which was again reversed, was that they brought down the price of fuel. That is a great thing. When you look at that particular area, it cuts across everywhere. You can see that movement of their goods will be involved, moving themselves from area to area. That one is basic. And with this reduction, it translates to the fact that reduction in transport fare will be experienced. And transporting their goods to will be cheaper. If this is done, definitely it will translate, it will touch every one of them. But unfortunately, they remove it, the subsidy, and the thing went up. We look at Empower and Build that is being done. Empower and Build is done across all sectors. It's like a sectoral skills acquisition. So most people in these categories, they are involved. We achieved, first and foremost, there should be guidelines. Government must study other countries that have integrated from informal to formal. Anything you want to do now, it's better you take a cue from those who have done it and they have succeeded. There's no need for trial by error. There's a need to just follow from standards that other people have used and they have succeeded. But first and foremost, there must be guidelines. Then apart from that, if you look at informal sector, formal education is not really required. Experience might not even be needed. So people wake up and they feel that they can do this and they get into it. Some of them, they get the experience through job training. But something like this, when you are going to formalize it and you are going to get it registered, there should be form of what will be the basic qualification, what will be the basic experience that somebody needs. Because if you don't do it, there's going to be crisis later. I can remember vividly when I was a research economist with the Chartered Bankers of Nigeria as far back as 1991, we carried out a research whether the finance houses, community banks, and the mortgage institutions will see the light of the day. The conclusion of the research was that they will not. Why? Because the people that were heading, majority of them did not have formal skill, formal education. You see somebody who read Yoruba, knows nothing about banking principle, the core banking principle, which is conservatism. He didn't know anything about it, but it's heading. And at the end of the day, they have push cards, they have so many things, and what you have is paper profit. There is no provision for doubtful debt. So it's because of lack of experience. And what happened? Around 94, 95, they all crashed.
Thanks, Mr. David. It's no longer news that the COVID-19 pandemic is threatening the nation's GDP, which largely comes from informal sector. and whatever support that is given to resuscitate the industry should be done in their clusters to retain trust and confidence. Now, what has really kept the informal economy going? What is the secret of their survival? This feature tells us about the resilience that has supported this sector.
Nigeria stands tall as the continent's biggest economy, overtaking South Africa's economy in gross domestic product (GDP). Prior to this time, from 2010 to 2014, Sub-Saharan Africa's informal economy accounted for 38% of gross domestic product to the region. The informal economy makes up 65% of Nigeria's workforce, with various kinds of production activities being carried out by the millions of entrepreneurs and low-income workers. Joseph Eramo is a printer who has spent 23 years in printing business and has 4 staff working under him.
When you have a situation where you are going to pay, for instance, salary of let's say 150,000 at the end of the month, and at the end of that month you don't make up to that as profit to be able to pay these monies, and you also know, like a human being, that you cannot also tell the person leave, because you have been in this thing, on this journey together, and they are also aware of exactly what is going on.
Joseph Doe complains of the difficulties that permits the business, which is affecting operators in the informal sector.
For the period that you were at home, you still have to pay. So many things to cater for, and very few income is coming in. And as it is now, we need also money to boost the system, bring in more equipment that will be able to even help us get our job done faster. And it has been a very, very difficult situation.
We lack something like pension, at least for our people, at least to enjoy themselves when they are retired. We don't have such thing in existence in this place, and I think it's something that we need if government will come to our aid and make it available for us.
According to survey, people working in the informal sector consume more goods and services than those in the agricultural sector. The sector is a social safety net that provides employment and income to many people that may otherwise be unemployed, where there is no opportunity of gaining jobs with the formal sector.
There is a need for something very urgent and drastic also, so that government, because if at the end of the day you ask somebody to go and you are talking of unemployment already in the system, and you now want to push people down again to that market, is not something that should be envisaged. So that is just our concern, that if we can get help from the system, then it will help us to be able to keep the business running.
Ever since the name informality came to the public glare with the 1972 City Study Mission on Lagos small-scale businesses by the International Labour Organization, the informal sector has been growing to the amazement of experts who now study the behavior of the sector and that of the operators. The resilience with which the sector has been sustained is worth emulating.
Honesty is the bedrock of every successful business. If you are honest and straightforward to people, you tell people the truth and nothing but the truth, no matter whatever that happens, the sky will be your starting point. Honesty is the driving point of my business.
Also, some of the features that have endured the sector are individual skills which have been transferred from one generation to another. While many believe the sector is filled with uneducated people with low skills, it nevertheless hosts a handful of graduates who make their living from the sector, including being trained on practical knowledge after graduating from higher schools.
One of the major secrets that have helped us to remain in business is our sincerity, is our urge and desire to make sure that we give the customer the best. Irrespective of how much little you are making, it is good that you give that service, that somebody can even give a referral to someone else and say, if you want this kind of job done, go and get to see this person. It will help you out to get the job done. So some of the times we don't have, we have not been on TV or radio advertising our businesses, but the people that we have had opportunity to relate with also do help us to tell other persons that they can get their job done when they are in our office.
With all manner of unlawful activities, many are calling for the protection against unlawful extortion by relevant agencies, which many see as part of the hurdles that may hinder the survival of the sector.
Work, if customer give me work, I deliver in time. Once I tell you 2 days, my 2 days, 2 days. If I tell you 1 week, my 1 week is my 1 week, and my work is solid, and my work is neater. Because furniture work, if you don't do the work is solid, and the work is not neat, and they disappoint the customer, at that time your customer will get problem. But once everything when I talk, you do everything, you want to settle it. Your work is moving. Customers, even though they go to introduce another customers, they will come for your place and do work for you.
As nations grapple with the COVID-19 pandemic, which is currently having negative contraction on the economy of many nations, the case of Nigeria may not be too bad due to the resilience of the informal economy.
Integrity, dedication and passion are the key words that have sustained the millions of operators in this sector. Yes, these qualities can defy any natural obstacles, and that is why the industry is posting high growth rates to the nation's economy. It is our hope that the palliatives or loan made for the industry will be channeled directly to the numerous clusters in the country. What Matters comes your way again next week, same time and same station on NTA International.